Okay, here we are, guys, again with the Donna show for you today, this weekend. So on the commercial break, as soon as the buttons went off, I had everybody here in the studio go, "It's not Russian roulette!" So obviously that proves to you that I never gamble and have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, so roulette, guys, there you go. So for those of you who were laughing at me, sorry. Okay, moving on with the show. Like I said, it is now time for our feature restaurant of the week, and the restaurant that we are going to be showcasing for you right now and today is 10 Degrees South. Yes, that is the actual name of the restaurant, 10 Degrees South. And South African cuisine, which I've been learning too, because I mean, it's my job to know a lot about, obviously, the culinary industry and fun stuff like that, but I have not been as familiar with South African cuisine as I would want to be, so I had to go and figure out a lot of stuff for myself here in preparing for this interview. And what I learned is that South African cuisine is actually a fusion of a lot of other regional influences. So I want to just, for those of you out there who may not understand, fusion is the same thing that we say in wine when there's a blend. Okay, just for the few of you that might not know, fusion is when you take a couple different influences or characteristics of cuisine or foods together and you blend them together to make something fabulous and fantastic. Just like wine, you can blend a couple wines together and you come up with a new wine, like a Malbec or something like that. So today, I have got Justin Anthony, owner of 10 Degrees South, who is here to help us learn a little bit more all about this fascinating cuisine, which I loved when I went to your restaurant. Justin, thank you for being on the show today.
Great to be here, Donna. Thank you for having me.
And I love your accent.
Thank you. And to all the listeners, how's it? This is how we would say it in South Africa.
What do I say?
How's it?
How's it? Like, how's it going? But just how's
Pretty
it?
much, yeah, but just how's it. It says it all.
How's it? Okay, so now you are from South Africa, and I want to just go ahead and completely diminish the stereotype that some people might be thinking right now. South Africa is in Africa, but it's not the stereotypical, jungles, tigers chasing you. Yeah. Africa, this is different. Can you just kind of give us a little geography lesson here really quick?
South Africa is a very cosmopolitan country, should I say. Obviously you've got parts of the bush and, where people go on safari, and you've got your rural areas, but overall it's a very sophisticated country with great cities.
Right, and fascinating accents.
Yeah. I guess.
A lot of people will hear you and they'll say, is he from London, is he from England, or is he from Australia? Because it's almost like a little bit of both.
It's a little bit. We're actually the closest probably to New Zealand in accent.
New Zealand?
Probably New Zealand is the closest. But I get a lot of London, a lot of Australia.
Okay.
It's very rare when people do get it, actually.
See, that sounded like Australian right there, but it's not. So, how long have you been here?
I've been in the States now going on about 16 years, in Atlanta actually.
Okay.
And we opened up 10 Degrees South in 1998, so the restaurant's actually been open in the same location for going on 13 years.
That's amazing, especially with all the highs and lows that we have seen in the restaurant industry as a whole over the past several years. So the fact that you have maintained that location at that prime spot, Roswell Road, Buckhead, going into Buckhead, and it is a cool restaurant. It's a cool building because it's so unsuspecting.
Yeah.
You pull up to it and you go, this is a restaurant? And then you go inside and you go, oh, and it's amazing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of designed that way, If you go on safari these days, it's not safari like people used to know. It's very sophisticated, modern, contemporary lodges, and then you've got these lot of subtle earth tones and a very homely feel as well on top of that contemporary. So people aren't expecting it, and we kind of like that.
I love it too because it's very, the inside, your atmosphere, your environment, it is extremely sophisticated and classy, yet it's so comfortable. It's very sleek and contemporary, like you said, but at the same time, it's perfect for a date and romantic and comfy. I love dark colors. It's a really fantastic restaurant.
Thank you. I'm very fortunate. My wife is an interior designer, and she designed the restaurant for us. So.
Nice. Okay. Good job, wife. Now, explain to us a little bit about South African cuisine, because it is a fusion of French, German, Dutch, Portuguese, and even Malaysian influences.
You've got Indian as well.
And Indian, yes.
And Mediterranean also. So when you talk about fusion, it's very much a fusion. I remember a few years ago there were a lot of restaurants that were talking about fusion and fusion of maybe Asian with French, or you know, stuff like that. But South African cuisine is very much a fusion on steroids, if you want to call it that, because you have a lot of different elements coming to play, you know. So
you have all these different things from different regions that come into play for this one South African cuisine, but you don't have anything that is just a traditional by itself, born and raised and created in South Africa as your own.
I mean, you do. You've got the sausage dish, which is called boerewors.
Yes.
You know, that's a very traditional South African thing, and it comes together with pap. Pap is basically our form of grits. It's a lot harder in consistency, looks more like mashed potatoes, but it's cornmeal. Yeah.
It was delicious.
So boerewors and pap is very traditional South African. But typically you've got all these cultures. You know, we're known as the Rainbow Nation.
Yes, that was on Wikipedia.
Yes.
That South Africa is known as the Rainbow Nation.
There are 11 official languages, so there's a lot of different cultures, and you've got a lot of different people from all over the world that have settled there over the years. And so, you know, it brings a lot of different...
11 different official languages?
Yeah, 11.
How many do you speak?
3.
Fluently?
Nah, 2 fluently.
I love that, by the way. I speak Spanglish a little bit. Well, let's talk about the actual food itself. And because we are radio, it's very difficult because you eat with your eyes and everything is so visual or olfactory. But being on the radio, we kind of have to paint the picture from more of a visual theater of the mind standpoint. So in terms of food, people think immediately Italian. Let's go out for something tonight. Let's go to Italian. Let's go to Chinese. Let's go American. Whatever the case may be. Or you know what? Let me even take this a step further. Food destinations. Because a lot of, especially wealthy foodies, they actually travel the world specifically on food traveling, purposes. So when somebody thinks of doing something like that, they would immediately think of Italy or immediately think of France, or a Spanish, a Latin country. Why South African food? Why should somebody go to South Africa for a foodie destination?
I mean, South Africa is, without a doubt, one of the most beautiful countries in the world. I mean, I used to be a professional soccer player before I went into the restaurant business, and I traveled extensively and lived in different places. It's a very, very, very beautiful place to visit, no doubt about it. Cape Town, where the wine country is, people are getting more familiar now in the States about wine, but South African wine's been around in Europe for many, many years, and it's very, very popular in Europe. Their wines are becoming more American friendly, if you want to call it that. It's a lot of old world meets new world, and they're making it more for the American palate.
Okay.
And the wines that are coming out of South Africa right now, specifically the boutique wines, are absolutely phenomenal. So from a purely wine food, there's very, very, very many, very rare places that can compare to South Africa. The wine country is just beautiful. I mean, it's really, really stunning. Beautiful mountain meets ocean, and it's just phenomenal. The wines are great value, and the foods are just out of this world. And like I say,